Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. What a way to kick off the college football season. Week 1 was filled with tons of exciting matchups, including 4 ranked versus ranked matchups and also a couple upsets sprinkled in there. We had 5 total ranked teams lose, 4 coming from those matchups, and also seeing number 23 Texas go on the road and lose to Maryland for the 2nd straight year. And that was a game that I almost chose Maryland on, but wanted to stick with the Longhorns, but one that I said would be sneaky good and had the potential to be an upset, and Maryland did come out with the win, and credit to them for everything that's been going on with that program to get us a signature win over what should be a solid Texas crew, but we're going to have to see how Tom Herman and his Longhorns are able to rebound over the course of the season. We also saw 5 FCS schools beat FBS schools. So that was actually kind of shocking. Yes, some of those FBS schools were not Power 5 schools. They were in the lower level conferences, but still, anytime an FCS team beats an FBS team, it's a pretty big deal. And we also saw a couple of close calls in there. Kansas State barely surviving South Dakota, winning 27-24, and James Madison only losing to North Carolina State 24-13. And while it was an 11-point victory for the Wolfpack, to keep in mind that game was 17-13 with just 7 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. So James Madison, obviously one of the FCS powers, giving the Wolfpack all they had and really coming away fairly respectable, only losing by 11 points. So overall, it was a very exciting week. We saw Miami get destroyed by LSU. LSU jumping from number 25 to number 11 in the most recent AP rankings. The LSU defense that I knew was going to be strong, but wasn't expecting that kind of performance out of them in this game. Very impressive. We're going to have to see how Ed Orgeron continues his success with the Tigers. Can they transition that success that they had against Miami and do that in the SEC against the likes of Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, Florida, Mississippi State, guys like that. So LSU has a solid team. They finally have a quarterback in Joe Burrow. Can that success continue? But a very impressive performance by them. Notre Dame getting a huge win over Michigan at home there. That was one that I said also had impact on the coaches as well. So obviously I think people are getting a little angry and a little worried with Jim Harbaugh at Michigan. So that was huge for Brian Kelly and the Fighting Irish. Auburn getting a huge signature win over Washington, which doesn't necessarily derail Washington's season, but they're going to pretty much have to run the table for the rest of the season if they want to have a chance at making the college football playoffs. So a huge win for the Tigers, winning that game. I believe it was 21-16 in Atlanta. Very thrilling game. Probably the best of all those big ranked versus ranked matchups. That was probably the best game of them all. Huge defensive battle. Washington just not being able to capitalize, especially in the red zone. So overall, it was a very exciting week. As you can see here, we've got our week 1 record, which was 45-10 straight up, which is 81.8%. Not bad. We're hoping to improve on that as the season goes on. And then I started doing spread picks. So this is straight up here at week 1. And then we've got the against the spread. And of course, I didn't release these. I didn't do a video about these or put it out on Twitter or anything, mostly because I didn't do the against the spread picks until closer to game time. So I put those out there, or I did them to myself and went 17-10, which is 63%. And the goal for straight up is usually to finish the season around 75% or better. And obviously the spread being a lot more difficult, I'd like to finish somewhere above 60%, maybe 62%. So 63 is a good benchmark. Hopefully we can improve on both of these percentages. Obviously a very strong start to the week, and these 10 losses that we have against the spread and in the week 1 straight up are not the same. They're not the exact same losses. There are a couple that were a little different there. So I wanted to address that. And obviously the board's a little bare, and as you've watched my last video, I said that we'll do our teams trending up and trending down starting after week 2. So start looking for that maybe next Sunday or Monday. And then when we do our weekly previews, we'll start doing our Heisman watches, and that will begin after week 3. We need to give these Heisman contenders a chance to really rack up some stats and really have a good idea of who's going to truly compete for the Heisman Trophy, because Bryce Love is technically still a Heisman contender, but he had a horrible performance against San Diego State in their season opener. So that's why we're going to give that a little time. And like I said, teams trending up and trending down will begin when we do our recaps on week 2. And of course, these are all going to be weekly recaps and all weekly previews that you can expect right before the game start on Saturday, usually around Friday or Thursday, and then the recaps coming on Sunday or Monday. So once again, a very solid week. Very strong start for the college football season. Of course, I've got to make a couple of shout-outs to some people. Like I said, I'm not perfect. I've addressed that last year. We did this last year. I'm not perfect. The analysts aren't perfect. Everybody's got a fan. Everybody's a fan. Everybody's got a team. But I'm going to predict these games, and feel free to call me out when I'm wrong, and I'm going to do the same. Respect to everybody else out there. This is not to be malicious or anything, but just a couple of things I want to say. I predicted Notre Dame to beat Michigan, which was a game that a lot of people didn't think was going to happen. They thought Michigan was going to go into South Bend with the talent they had, and yes, a very strong defense, but not good enough to get the win, and thought they were going to just kind of annihilate Notre Dame. So Iron Cross said, okay, Mr. 20-year-old expert, I'll help you on game one. Mighty Michigan smashes Notre nothing 38-10. That includes garbage time field goals for the red-faced Kellys. Go Blue, crush the Dame. Ooh, 38-10. Notre Dame football, or ND football, says this kid puts a suit on and thinks he is a football expert. Notre Dame will lose a minimum of 4 games this year. I agree with the Pac-12 losses, but add in Michigan and Florida State. Man, I just love it when people compliment the suit. It's always fun, and I really appreciate that always. Chuck Bod says, you lost me with your first pick, bruh. You do seem intelligent, or seem semi-intelligent, though you're only like, what, 12? By the way, your dad's sport coat is too big on you. I love it. I love it. And I thank you. I mean, anytime someone says I look, 12 or something, just makes me feel younger. So I always appreciate that. So that's more of a compliment. Jason Compowell says he lost me when he chose Notre Dame over Michigan. Never gonna happen. Wow. Stephen Van Order, this is a long one. No disrespect, but did you do your homework on Michigan before you did a review? Yes. Not only do I think Michigan beats Notre Dame, but they win by 14. 14. You lost me at the Notre Dame pick. Do yourself a favor, go do your homework, and come back and try again. Wow. I believe it was last year that I'm pretty sure I got Michigan's record right. I believe I had them going 8-4, 9-3, somewhere around there, and actually predicted that correctly. Look, I do my homework on all these teams here. Like I said before, I don't necessarily have to get the games right. I'm not going to get every game right, but I certainly do my homework. So I certainly won't be coming back and trying this one again. I'm going to keep it just the way I am because I was, once again, right. Otis Hall said, this guy's predictions are worse than his tie. 13-0, go Blue, baby. Well, you can still settle for 11-1, go Blue, baby, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're going to have to probably have maybe 9-3 or even worse after the performance that we had against Notre Dame. David Hillman said, I stopped watching when he gave Notre Dame the win. They are depleted and may not be 8-5. This kid needs to do his homework before talking about wins and losses. So that's 2 comments about doing homework, and yet you can look at the record there, and we've got 45-10, and against the spread, some people criticize me for not doing spread picks, 63%, which is better than some of the experts out there. Go look at the CBS experts and tell me how they're doing on their straight-up picks and their against the spread picks. I'd love to know. And then another thing, I missed this prediction, but just one that I think this will transpire further on in the year. I didn't predict UCLA to lose in Cincinnati. I don't think many people did at all, especially in Chip Kelly's debut with the Bruins, but they did. They lost at home to Cincinnati, so that's not a good sign of things to come for this season for Chip Kelly, and I predicted that. I had him going 3-9. I said it was going to be a rebuilding year. They didn't have a lot of talent. I thought it was going to be a rough start, and so I just want to address a couple comments here to show that I'm not crazy, but a lot of people think I am. It says, LOL, this kid must not know who Chip Kelly is. 3-9 is ridiculous, although 3-9 might be a miracle now because their next game is against Oklahoma. Then they've got Fresno State, a solid Mountain West opponent. Then you start Pac-12 play against the likes of USC, Oregon, people like that. So 3-9 is extremely possible now. Tank 1133 says, you're predicting Chip Kelly will lose more games this season than in his entire career in college. You may want to take this video down and rethink your predictions. After that loss in Cincinnati, which yes, I missed, that is one of those 10 losses up there, I'm not going to take my video down and rethink my predictions. I believe I'm right on those, and I do think it's going to be a rough first year for Chip Kelly with the Bruins. Maybe he turns things around. Maybe it's a fluke. But if you lose to a Cincinnati team that was still rebuilding under Luke Fickell, and especially at home, don't see you really competing in the Pac-12 this season. So I just wanted to address those comments there. As always, I have a couple people that always enjoy listening to those and hearing those, and obviously I'll continue to do that a little bit. Now, no disrespect there. I'm wrong plenty of times. I was wrong 10 times this week against the spread and straight up. I'll be wrong plenty of times over the course of the year. Everybody wants to believe that their team's going to do extremely well, wants to believe that things are going to go right. I want to believe my team's going to do well. It's just not always going to be the case. So we just have to put things into perspective and be realistic about some things. So there you go. Those are our shout-outs for Week 1, our 45-10 record to kick off the college football season. We got an 82, if you round up, benchmark, hopefully to improve on those from our 76% that we finished the year with last year. And then we're starting against the spread picks. Like I said, didn't put those out there. Might start doing videos over those, or you can continue to check Twitter. Might put those out there. there, but a 17-10 start there, not too bad either. So very solid week 1. Looking forward to week 2. Make sure you stay tuned for Thursday or Friday when we do our week 2 preview, previewing the biggest games of the week 2 Saturday over the course of the entire day. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And then Sunday or Monday we will have our week 2 recap. And then of course we're going to continue our ranking shows, more analysis, any big news that comes out. You can find it all right here at the Gridiron Expert. And of course we're filming in college, as I said, so apologize for the lighting or the audio or whatever problems you may have as the viewer. Obviously we're making do with what we've got, so I'm enjoying it. We're making do with what we've got. I'm excited about the quality, excited about this season, and of course thank you all for your support. So as always, please go check us out on Twitter at Gridiron Expert for potential spread picks and behind the scenes and extra analysis there. Tweeted a lot over the course of the weekend about some games and my takes on those as the games were going live. So go check us out on Twitter at Gridiron Expert, on Instagram at The Gridiron Expert, and always here on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.